Hurry, there's not much time. The powerful elves known as the newcomers have driven our people, the Sacs, out of our lands. We must now seek refuge in the great city of Dunmordheim. Although, the path there is not a direct one. Some of our people will need to travel through the Weeping Caves, and the others, the Great Sewers. You and up to 3 additional unlikely heroes will need to lead our people. On average, every segment of your journey is going to take about 1 to 1.5 hours to complete. You can experience Legends Untold in one of 2 ways. You can play the 8-episode cinematic campaign where the progress of your characters carries over from one scenario to the next, or you can play one of 8 unique one-off scenarios where the progress of your characters does not carry over from one scenario to the next. Regardless of what you choose, all the information that you need to get your adventure started can be found on the scenario card that you choose. You'll notice there's a goal on the scenario card. You win the scenario if you complete this specific goal. Goals can range from discovering a certain location, performing a certain amount of events, or discovering a certain amount of discoveries. As long as you complete that specific goal, you win the scenario. You lose the scenario if at any point in time all of your adventurers become unconscious. This happens if an adventurer takes damage and they don't have any remaining talent to flip over face down. If this happens, you lose. Now, you'll want to read the flavor text on the scenario card so you'll know what you're getting into. Next, you'll want to read any specific setup instructions of that scenario. These may inform you to take out certain cards, put certain cards to the side, shuffle certain cards into a deck in a specific manner. Whatever it says, follow those specific instructions. Below that, you're going to notice a bunch of icons and a bunch of numbers. These are going to inform you of how many of each different card type that you want to shuffle into their respective decks. Do this, get all of your decks set up, and then put the starting location that's indicated on that scenario card in the middle of the table with your adventurer token on it. Now we're almost ready to begin, but first you'll need to choose what adventurers will be joining you. To do this, you can select one of the pre-made adventurers in the rulebook, or you can decide to create your own. If you create your own, you'll need to start a starting weapon for your character, as well as any starting talents that they will start with. And with that, we are ready to begin. Now, a scenario takes place over multiple turns. And although there are multiple turns, time is of the essence as we are trying to outrun our pursuers. So different actions that you take throughout the game will cause you to spend time. As you spend more time, you'll trigger certain events. If you ever completely run out of time, although this will not specifically cause you to lose the scenario, it will start making your journey more difficult as you will not have the full set of actions available to you as you normally would. Now, a turn is split up into multiple phases, and throughout these phases, you're going to be rolling a lot of dice to overcome the challenges that are ahead. To help tip the scales in your favor, you can use your character's talents to modify the dice rolls. So, the first phase of a turn is the scouting phase. In the scouting phase, you're primarily going to be deciding what exit you want to take out of the current location that you are in. You'll know the options available to you based on the little circles that have black or yellow, or both black and yellow, in them. Choose one of these, move your party token to that exit, and then flip the top card from the location deck, and wherever you see these little feet icons, match up those feet with the exit that you have chosen. This is how you're going to know how to align the location that you are entering. Afterwards, you'll want to perform a scouting test. So the scouting test is going to dictate how ready, how alert you are as you're entering into this next location. To know what you're rolling against, look at the little legend on the new location you just drew, and based on the exit that you are exiting, that is going to be the dice roll that you're going to need to beat. So, roll the dice, and based on the result, indicate on the readiness tracker how alert your party is. And now you're going to need to spend some time, as scouting is an activity that does take some time. And now we enter the next phase, the adventure phase. In the adventure phase, we're going to be overcoming the challenges that are presented to us in the new location we have entered. So first, sometimes you may notice there are some obstacles in your way at the entrance of this location that you have chosen. If there is an obstacle present, you'll need to draw a card from the obstacle deck and resolve it accordingly. This will involve rolling some dice and, based on the result, following the outcome. After you've completed the obstacle, you'll now want to look at the location that you're in and then see if there are any additional icons on the little location legend there. If there are any foes present, you'll need to go to the adventure deck and keep drawing cards until you have a foe come up. Once you've drawn a foe, get ready to enter combat. Just like other parts of this game, there's going to be a lot of dice rolling to determine who is going to be successful in combat. If you successfully resolve the combat, gather any loot cards you set aside and distribute them amongst your characters. These are now free to use at any point during the scenario. Afterwards, discard the foe card, and now we're ready to continue. So if you see any discovery icons on the location that you're in, you're going to need to now resolve a discovery. So just like the foe, you're going to keep drawing from the adventure deck until you come up against a discovery. Just like obstacles, discoveries are going to involve dice rolls. So roll the dice, resolve the discovery, and move on with your journey. After this is complete, we now enter the third phase of a turn, which is the exploration phase. At this time, you can move your adventurer token to the middle of the location that they are in. Now, there's a couple of things to keep an eye out for during the exploration phase. You might see some barriers. If you see some barriers, you can go ahead and draw a card from the barrier deck and decide whether or not you want to go against that barrier. If you successfully defeat the barrier, then you get to draw a card from the adventure deck, resolve it, and now anything on the other side of the barrier is now free for you to do what you wish. Typically, you're going to see a search zone. Search zones are kind of like treasure chests. You can choose to search them, and any loot you find is yours to keep. So, resolve as many or as little barriers that you want in the exploration phase, and then when you are done, you can now enter the final phase of a turn, which is the rest phase. In the rest phase, you can unexhaust all of your adventurer talents, and then you have a choice on whether or not you want your adventurers to camp. So when your adventurers camp, you spend some time, but based on the amount of time that you spend, you can heal your characters and flip any face down talents face up so they are ready to use on the next turn. After you've done this, you finish the turn, and now you're ready to enter the next turn by entering the first phase of discovering what location you want to go to next. So that, my friends, is Legends Untold in a nutshell. I really enjoy this game because of how thematic it is. The cards tell you a story, every challenge that you come against tells you a story, and your success, your failures, all tells a story of how your adventurers are getting through this specific scenario. Now, I will say, to enjoy this game, you do have to be in the mood for some dice rolling. And that, my friends, is Legends Untold. Until next time, so long, farewell.